and Ronald Reagan. Here is Patti Davis. Well, finally comes the autobiography, and it will make parents everywhere squirm a little bit. Oh, Patti.
I never know how he's going to start these things out.
Yeah. Your mother stood over you while you were on the potty and insisted that you pee. And if you didn't pee, she slapped you. True?
Yes, that's true.
You look hesitant.
Well, I'm hesitant because I didn't want to leave it as just a yes. I mean, yes, that's what happened. But, well, I probably should say this now. The context of these stories is that there was more than one person being abused there. My mother was being abused, too. I mean, she was abusing herself, too. You know, this is a book about cycles that are being repeated. Mm-hmm. I said toward the end of this book that I used to look at my family as being divided between abusers and victims. I don't look at it that way anymore. It was a lot of victims thrown together. Mm-hmm. And my parents were victims of victims and on back, and that's how these things get repeated. So yes, what she did is what she did, but there was something, this is about peeling away layers and going, okay, now wait a minute, let's look at what was really going on underneath.
Right. So you're past the I'm angry at my parents to a fuller understanding of how these neuroses are passed from generation to generation.
This is also a book about having learned to forgive, which means dropping anger and dropping blame and realizing that everybody did the best they knew how.
Your father was raised in Dixon, Illinois, the son of an alcoholic.
Yes.
And you have a feeling your father might have been jerked around in a physical way more than he ever acknowledged as a kid.
I have that feeling. I mean, I have the feeling that the alcoholism was more volatile than what he has related. I do.
Right.
Yes.
Your mother's father ran out on the family. Mm-hmm. Your mother is shipped off at an early age to a distance, is it Bethesda?
Bethesda, Maryland.
A little girl, where's my mommy? She's with an aunt, I believe.
Yes, her aunt and her cousins.
Then she's suddenly in the company of a stepfather, Loyal Davis, a fabulously successful, highly respected doctor, surgeon, who is very reactionary, right-wing guy, and probably not a teddy bear, fuzzy-wuzzy sort of stepfather.
No, he was not a nurturing man.
Right.
I mean, he was not someone who had a tolerance for making mistakes.
Right. Your mother then suddenly, she wanted a boy, and she gets Patti. The baby is born cesarean. The baby is not 2 months premature. The baby is born 7 months after the wedding. Is this what you want? This is what you tell your readers.
Well, that's the truth. That's not what I tell them. That's it. You know, look at the dates. And my birth weight kind of gives it away.
Yeah, Patti.
They don't make incubators that big, you know.
Right. Patti. You drove your mother crazy.
Oh, you're right. I mean, we were a match for each other. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, I
matched her anger to anger.
Yeah. This is not exclusive to the Reagan family.
No, which is the other point of this book.
It's a horror. Imagine her pain. Her daughter behaved in ways that she couldn't stand. Everything was contrary. Why do you have to always, you wouldn't eat your peas? And the doctor said, let her hold the peas in her mouth. And you sat in that high chair for an hour. For an hour.
Yeah.
You were giving your mother the finger at 1 year of age to 1.5. Isn't this so? I mean, this is not overstated, is it?
No, it's not. It's just an interesting way to state it, but it's not. It was sort of something I would have said if I thought of it. No, it's not overstated. But you know what? You said something really interesting. You said, imagine her pain more and more in my life now, that's what I think of. And that's all through this book. You know, the stories that are told are then told from a perspective of what her internal reality must have been. And you know something? There is nobody in this audience and nobody watching this show who would want that internal reality.
Here is your mother on the Donahue show in November of 1989.
Oh, I hate it when you do this.
Well, this is all right. This is really all right. I do want you to see it,
I
though.
know.
I asked her about you. I asked her about you. Here, so this would be 3 years ago. Here you are. Here I am talking to your mom. Incidentally, Patti is bright and pretty. We should not be surprised. Look who her mother is.
She is.
Listen to this. Once when Patti was around, too, you haven't seen her in a long time.
I've seen her, well, I've seen her since we've been home, if that's what you mean.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
She's been over?
Yes.
How'd it go? How'd it go? Good. You getting anywhere?
We'll see.
That's the last time you've seen her, I think.
Yes.
You haven't seen her since '89.
No. No, I haven't.
And you were only in the Oval Office once during your father's entire 8 years. Is that right?
Yes,
You describe
that's
it
true.
in your book. It's
right
different.
after he became president the first time. That's right.
Your father pleaded to you to understand that your mother loves you, Patti. Why are you doing this to her? She doesn't hit you. Patti, why are you telling these lies?
Yeah.
Your mother may die, he said at one occasion. Implying that I honestly can feel for him.
Oh,
I really can.
I absolutely can feel for him. And he is, if anybody knows anything about children of alcoholics, he is a textbook case of a child of an alcoholic. He does not want to know about pain.
Avoid.
Deny, deny, deny. I mean, if something's painful, and he learned it as a child, he had a drunk father. It was too hard. It was too painful. They were poor. He dragged his father in when he was 12 years old off the porch, dead drunk. And I'm sure that was not the only occasion. And he learned at an early age that he could go somewhere in his head, and he didn't have to deal with reality. And he had a daughter, by the way, who wanted to deal with nothing but reality. I was that kid with the flashlight going into every corner and every closet going, oh, here's something, let's shine a light in here.
Nothing your mother did was right. The clothes she bought for you. You hated them.
Yeah.
You know, this can, you know, incidentally, your mother, this would drive a lot of parents to drink. Your mother never drank, never abused alcohol.
No, she didn't.
But you certainly do offer your readers, in the book titled The Way I See It, Patti Davis's autobiography, Saginaw? Milltown?
My mother started with Milltown. She was part of what is called, I mean, they named a whole generation after this drug. Sort of tells you something about America, doesn't it?
This would be the 50s.
Milltown generation.
This was a woman who happened to be a career woman at a time when it was unusual. Now it's normal. But what else? You saw, you went to
Well,
her...
I think it's important to say, first of all, that I see my mother, and I think I always did, as a victim of the medical establishment. I mean, it is interesting to me that
Betty Ford was the same victim?
Yes, yes. And a lot of women were. I mean, literally, they named a generation after a drug. I mean, let's think about this, you know? And different drugs come in vogue at different times. And so she stayed with the medical establishment on the drugs that came into vogue.
She yelled at you for looking at cookies through a window?
When I was younger.
Because you shouldn't eat cookies.
Can we stay on this drug thing for a minute?
Sure, go ahead.
Because I want to say something
Please
here.
do. Please do.
Sorry, I'm just
All
taking
right,
over your show.
This, all right, this, the audience wants to get in, but go ahead. No, that's all right.
I know. I just want to make this point.
Excuse me for the interruption, but this is interesting. You see your mother as a victim and not some kind of bitchy, malice-filled woman who wanted to beat up her kids.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
She was overwhelmed by the altered...
You know, that's what forgiveness is, realizing that nobody did anything wrong, that everybody started out with the best intentions. You know, there's a line in Alcoholics Anonymous, your best intentions got you here. We all start out with best intentions. My parents started out to show me love. I want to say this one thing about drugs. I agonized a lot over revealing this about my mother. It's very clear Betty Ford talked about her own problem herself. Kitty Dukakis talked about herself. I am talking about it, and my mother is not. I'm very clear that that's the wild card in this. But in all my agonizing over this, I kept coming back to the same point, which is that my mother has gotten a very heavy indictment of hypocrisy in her choice of the anti-drug issue, particularly after her withdrawal from Phoenix House. She's been, fodder for comedians.
Withdrawal as a member of the board or a
right, her
a promoter
support,
of
financial support from Phoenix House and that whole scandal. And she has gotten some pretty harsh judgments. It was impossible for me to see her as a hypocrite. It was impossible for me to feel anything except compassion and sympathy for her because I was very clear that her choice of the anti-drug issue was both an act of denial and a cry for help. And I had to believe that if knowing that truth elicited that reaction in me, it would elicit that in everybody else.
Yeah.
This is a woman who cares deeply about this issue.
It's also has to be said that she's not falling asleep in the coleslaw.
No.
You know what I mean. But you do make the point that you believe her trip at the 1980 convention when she fell, you think that was partially...
Well, I didn't say I believed it. I said I was trying to point out how plugged into her I was on this level. I thought of it. I mean, we all fall, you know.
Right.
Let's hope I don't on this show, but we all do. I've been known to. I thought of it though because I was so geared into her on this level.
But this is the kind of press you get, though, Patti, when you write a book like this.
But this is the Daily News. Come on, it's like
Patti Davis, drugged out mom hit me every day. Well, listen, I should give you a lecture about media. You knew this was going to happen.
I did, of
but
course.
I have the sense here that you're not all together now, and this isn't the first time this has happened with people who've written books that don't necessarily flatter people in the family. You're not going to back up from what's been said in here. Your mother and you collided often, and your father would you were about to explain, your father even suggested that your mother might die. So you had now the problem of maybe being responsible for your mother's death.
Yes.
You would tiptoe in your room because you had a monitor,
Intercom.
an intercom, yeah.
Yes.
So you tiptoe.
Yeah.
You would dream about Cesar Romero came over to pick your mother up on one occasion when your father was away on business to take her to a dinner, a totally appropriate thing to do in public in Hollywood. And you fantasized that he would be
my father.
Your new father. Yeah. You also fantasized about, did you not want to live with your father? I mean, why would you want a new father when the problem was with your mother?
Right, I fantasized that my parents would get divorced, my mother would marry Cesar Romero, and I would go live with my father.
That's it.
That was the fantasy.
You wanted to get out from under your father. And then you came of age. Your father becomes governor. You fall in love with a married man.
Yeah.
You sold pot. You had a menage a trois. Aye. Thank goodness this audience doesn't know what that means. You know, you were as naughty as could be.
Absolutely. I absolutely was.
And this was once again giving the finger to your mother.
Absolutely. I was... Listen, you know something? I'm 39 years old now. I was pissed off for 37 years. And I played that out in every way I could, mostly self-destructive ways.
Well, we'll let this audience ask you their own questions. And we'll do that in just a moment.
ate the same lunch, got the same heartburn, but his antacid is very different. His Tums has calcium. Most antacids don't. Regular Rolaids uses an aluminum salt. This uses aluminum and magnesium. So does this. Of all these, only Tums helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium you need every day.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Calcium-rich Tums. That's the one you want.
Trouble with heartburn? Well, you could change your lifestyle. Or better still, reach for Rolaids. It works fast to bring 100% relief to millions. So maybe you can't change your life, but you can get relief. Rolaids spells relief.
Achoo!
When allergies come on this strong, Benadryl comes on stronger.
I first realized I needed to do something about my weight when I bent over to pick up my little boy and found it was an enormous effort. I have a very busy schedule. I work 50 to 60 hours a week. I go to night school, and I have a wife and son at home. With Jenny Craig, I was able to plan my food for the whole day. I could just take it with me to work or to school. The food was great. I went to pick up my son, and I realized I used to carry his weight around my middle.
Final week of our lowest price ever, just $29. Dial direct 1-800-92-JENNY.
Who do you answer to?
Are you kidding? I'll answer to anybody.
At Murray's, we answer to you.
Murray's has the best meat, they have the best quality, there's less waiting, and they have the best prices in town.
Great prices on products like Smithfield low-salt bacon, just 89 cents a pound. 3 Diamond sliced or chunk pineapple, only 69 cents a can. And we're featuring Act 2 microwave pancakes, just $1.39 for a 1-pound package.
Murray's, we answer to you.
Here once again is your mom on the issue of the peas. This is your mom.
You love this story, don't you?
Well, I want you to, here it is treated rather lightly, and I guess we'd all be, I think it was nervous laughter, but see the pain behind this. Go ahead. Once when Patti was around 2, I was feeding her string beans. She held them in her mouth but simply refused to swallow them. I tried everything I could think of, but nothing worked. Finally, I called the pediatrician. Don't give in, he said. It's pediatrician, you know. Leave the room and get busy with something else and go back to her later. An hour and a half passed, and by now it was past her nap time, but Patti was still sitting there with those damn beans in her mouth. You do make the point that she was just...
She was a strong-minded girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that thing of laughing and the pains underneath,
Yes.
we all do that in this family.
Yes, we do it. I mean, that's...
Well, people do. But I mean, it is a Reagan trait that we all have big time. And I have a tendency to do it, too. In fact, in interviews that I've done so far in this book tour, I've noticed myself doing it when I've been talking about something that was painful. And it is a form of denial, you know? It's a way of, like, pushing away the pain and making a joke of it.
Yeah.
And we saw it when my father was shot. Honey, I forgot to duck.
Yeah. I used to ask, incidentally, what did your father say about tapping a watermelon when you were pregnant?
Well, I wasn't pregnant. I've never been pregnant.
Thought you
I got sterilized when I was 24. I had it reversed when I was 34, but back to when I was 24.
Meaning a tubal?
I had a tubal ligation.
And the reason?
Primarily, I had a lot of excuses that I gave myself, but primarily the reason was I was afraid that if I had a child, I would do to a child what my mother had done to me. And in all honesty, if I had had a child at that age, I probably would have. That's how these cycles get repeated. And I took a very drastic measure. Following that, like a month later or something, I missed a period. I was terrified that I was pregnant. It hadn't worked and all that. And I went to the doctor, and what I realized ended up happening was they mixed up blood tests at the lab. He told me I was pregnant. He told me I could die. It would be a tubal pregnancy. I was hysterical. I went to the one person who I knew would understand. I went to my mother. That's the complexity of our relationship.
She didn't flip.
No, and I knew she wouldn't.
My
mother and I have been there at moments.
So you're foxhole friends.
Well, in a sense, it was crises that brought us to those moments, certainly. But what's stunning about those moments was that at those times, all of our enmity, all of our sort of battle-scarred history was dropped like that. And we were two people who were standing in front of each other with nothing there but love. There was never any question of who I would go to in that. And that was when my father did what he always does in a crisis. He made a joke because the doctor had said, we'll have to do an ultrasound or something like that. And he made a joke about tapping a watermelon or something.
To see if it's ripe.
Yeah,
you have to tap a water, like tapping a watermelon to see if it's right.
I mean, the joke didn't even make any sense, but it was, you know, he was doing what he does in a painful situation.
Once more, I can't, you know, it looks to me like, you know, your mother is not firing back at you in public. But your mother appears to want to. Here you come up again on the Donahue show. Watch this. Here's your mom. It's about you.
Hi, Mrs. Reagan.
Hi.
Could you tell us a little more about your current relationship with your daughter, Patti?
My current relationship is that we've seen her 3 times. We've asked her over 3 times, she and her husband. And we'll see.
But we can presume that those were very familial meetings, huh? I mean,
they were, well, it was awkward, of course, first, but, I mean, you know, it's very painful to talk about.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, you said something interesting about firing back. This is not a book about firing at anyone.
Well, she slapped you every day?
No, 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 but wait.
You could see
hold
the
it.
hand come back?
Let me finish I know. Wait a minute. Let me finish. Stop interrupting me. It is a book about saying that it's important to be able to talk about what happened. I make no judgment on what happened. These stories are not told as, look how horrible this is, look how horrible you were. If I had written this book at any point in time before I did, that's what it would have been. But that's not what it is. This is just what happened. And whether it's my family or any other family, we have to be able to talk about what happened. And it's okay. Whatever happened to somebody in their childhood is okay. Please don't misinterpret that. I don't mean that a parent hurting a child in any way is okay. But if that's what happened to you, it's okay to talk about it. And it's okay that my mother did that because she didn't know what she was doing. Right. She didn't intend to inflict pain. Yeah. You know, forgiveness is not saying, you did horrible things to me, but I can forgive you. It's also not saying, it's okay, nothing happened, I'm fine. That's denial. One is judgment and the other is denial. Forgiveness is saying, you didn't know what you were doing. You set out to do the best you could, and you got off track.
But there's so much hurt in this book. You're with your mother on the death of on the occasion of the death of your grandfather.
Yes.
And your mother is saying, I was alone when he died. I was alone. And your father said, well, Patti was with you. Or
Ron said
Patti was with you. And your mother said what?
No, and my father said, dismissed it. And said, well, yeah, but nobody else was, or something like that.
In other words, she's not important. That's how you, that's how you read it.
Yes.
Someone also said you had a fat butt.
Well, that was, well, you jump around chronologically. This is like, this is like a bouncing through my life. We're back now to how I started taking diet pills, which was my addiction. And I was 15 or something, and I come back from high school, and that was my mother's comment to me, and so that led me to taking diet pills, which I stayed hooked on for years.
You were going to run away from Alaska? To Alaska. You put a razor blade to your wrist.
Yes, I did.
Like a test.
Yes, I did.
And that was on the, was this shortly after
Was when I was in college. I was at Northwestern.
Your father was governor.
My father was governor. I had had the relationship that you mentioned with the married professor that had started in high school and went through my first year in college, which was another thing that I took to my mother, the only person who I knew would understand. So I had gone through that, and then there was an incident at Northwestern where...
Yeah, it's complicated. It has to do with, were you a racist blowing a whistle on a black guy?
Yeah, which wasn't what happened, and I felt like my life was out of control.
Right. Now, and you wanted to say, I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh, I wanted to say that I was 19 years old, and you know something? When you're 19, it's real easy to think about killing yourself, because most of us don't know who we are when we're 19, so we don't know who we're killing.
So you had a relationship with your mom where you weren't gonna, she bought you nice little Peter Pan type outfits, and you, when you were an adolescent, started sewing, altering clothes so you'd look slutty.
And it hasn't changed at all, right?
Now, can I just have one more?
I'm the one down on 42nd Street stopping prostitutes going, excuse me, where did you get that outfit?
Yeah. So when you see the punker, with the 4 earrings, you understand.
Hey, all right, yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, this following tape is you. Here you are on the Donahue Show. Just give us a little more attention to this observation. This,
how long ago was this?
It wasn't, I'll tell you, April of '91. So we're talking about, this is 2 years ago. Is that right? 1 year ago, sorry. Okay. 1 year ago, Patti Davis.
If they understand the Reagan family, they will understand what the hell happened in this country for 8 years. And they're right. If you understand this family, you may very well understand what happened in this family, in this country. Because, in a sense, this country was turned into a dysfunctional family for 8 years.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Now there's something better than an answering machine.
There are 5 new messages in your mailbox.
Something that does what an answering machine does, but does it through your phone.
It's me. Look, meet me in an hour back at the office. We have
Something that won't miss a message because a tape broke or you forgot to turn it on. Even if you're on the phone. It's Answer Call, and it's the answering machine that takes messages without a machine.
Call now to get Answer Call. Because with Answer Call, there are no tapes, no plugs, nothing to remember to turn on, no machine. Just use your phone. An Answer Call works just like an answering machine, and it works from any phone in your home, even if you're already on the phone. You can even call in for messages when you're away from home. If you have messages you can't afford to miss,
Call 1-800-272-2997 now to order Bell Atlantic Answer Call from C&P Telephone.
If your smoked sausage tastes so-so, with delicious Eckrich smoked sausage, the taste you can sink your teeth into, made with only the choicest cuts of beef and pork.
Now, every time you buy specially marked packages of Eckrich, you get 1 free game of bowling instantly. Enjoy the great taste of Eckrich and bowl free.
Every day, homes are sold at auction because of mortgage foreclosure, and almost everyone could have been saved by American Mortgage Assistance. American Mortgage Assistance finds solutions to your mortgage problems. Call now, 931-9393. If you're 90 days or more behind on your payments, American Mortgage Assistance can help. Don't lose your home. Call now, 931-9393. American Mortgage Assistance.
To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
Oh, okay.
Patti Davis, in her book, The Way I See It, tells this story of a heartbroken little boy, her half-brother, who at age 14 comes into your life. Is that so?
I didn't know
14 years old. Whoa, it's a bigger family than I thought. And they're making a bedroom. They're making a bedroom. Patti Davis tells this story in her book, and so did Michael tell it in his book and on our show 4 years ago. Watch. Right. Nancy and Dad build an extra room on the house. You couldn't have been more thrilled.
I was ecstatic.
And the room, it is announced to you just before it is completed, is for?
No, it was never announced. They were building it. I looked at the room, I thought, I don't have to go to Loyola High School. I'm going to become a day student. This room's got to be for me. I put all my eggs in the basket. I went, after about 5 weeks of it being built, 6 weeks, I went to school, came home Friday, knowing I would have a room. I came across the slate floor, I went down the pantry area, I made a right-hand turn into my new room. I've been there so many times, I knew where the bed was going to be, the TV, the bathroom, and I came face to face with the maid. And she said, Michael, how do you like my new room? And I went crazy.
Mm-hmm. That hurts you hearing him tell that.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does.
And you also want this audience to know that you know in your heart that whatever pain may have been inflicted on this 14-year-old, it was not with malice or even the beginning of understanding that it would hurt him in a way that would leave a legacy.
No, it was not. It was not.
Uh-huh.
Patti, who'd you vote for in 1984?
I did not vote at all in 80 or 84. I've written about this, and I'm not proud of that. But I didn't have, I disagree with my father across the board. I didn't have the courage to vote against him, and I couldn't vote for him. So I took a very cowardly way out. I didn't vote at all.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't sound like your life was that bad. I think you're writing a book to make money. Because you say all these things, but it's not that bad.
Not that bad, she says.
Well, wait a minute. That's, you said something actually very... Can you go back to her?
Sure.
Can you stand up again? This is not a book about comparing war wounds. This is not about, look how horrible it was. It is a book about saying, what happened, happened. But, and it's a book saying that to the degree that I hung on to the idea that I had a wounded childhood, guess what? I was having a wounded adulthood. Isn't that surprising? And then I turned it around, and I changed my perspective of my parents. This is relevant to everybody. I don't know what your family is like. It's not my business to know what your situation is. But we all have issues with our parents. And if money were my thing, if money and exploitation were my thing, I would have written a book when I was really pissed off. Because let's face it, anger sells. And I had 2 elections I could have, tried to sabotage, So if that were my thing, I had all sorts of opportunities to play that out.
You are not in your parents' will.
Well, I don't know. People have said I'm not. I don't really care. So what,
Well, I know you don't care, but here's your brother, your half-brother.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're saying.
Watch this.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of anger back and forth. I think Mom with the acting, Dad with her politics, and I think sometimes kids have gotten in the middle of it. And
Jane Wyman says to you, your mother, you're both so close to them, meaning Ron and Nancy, why didn't you just have them put you in their will? He must be a multimillionaire by now.
Little did she know.
When I mentioned that conversation in passing to Dad one day, he shook his head sadly and said, you and Maureen are not in our will because I thought you were in your mother's. Michael, are you in anybody's will?
I think I'm in Mom's, but that's one of the things that we faced.
I just have to say something about that. That's not about money. It's about love.
Yeah. And we have no proof that you're not in your folks' will. He was talking about The Children by Jane Wyman. Sir.
Yes. I just wanted to say that, the Reagans are a media family, and they successfully manipulated the media better than any presidential family in the history of our country. And they got a chance to put their point across that way. And so if Ms. Davis uses the media to tell her truth, then why do we judge her for that? That's the milieu she comes from.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
What's new from Shake and Bake? Hot, spicy, plump, and delicious. New Shake and Bake hot and spicy pork is the answer. Why fried? Shake and Bake.
Lower back pain, neck pain, upper back pain. There are all kinds of back pain. Doan's relieves them all with an ingredient these brands don't have. Relieve back pain with Doan's, the back specialist.
The rumor has been confirmed. Summer has been given one less day on the calendar this year. There'll be one less afternoon to race down a hill, to go nowhere in particular, to relax with a pitcher of Country Time lemonade flavored drink mix with a taste of good old-fashioned lemonade. And though summer is one day shorter, we trust you'll make the most of it.
Some people. It's not mine. Crisp, clean Dentine. We'll take care of your breath. The rest is up to you. Hi. Hi. Didn't I see you here yesterday?
For the itch and pain of bug bites and allergic rashes, even the new, stronger hydrocortisones can't give you the kind of relief you get from Benadryl Maximum Strength Cream because it stops the pain and blocks the itch. Benadryl Maximum Strength Cream or spray.
Every time you tune into TV, you see more and more attorneys advertising. In fact, if you were involved in an auto accident, you may not even know which one to call. Remember only one name. The law offices of John Kritzos will do everything possible to get you all the cash you're entitled to. Remember, the insurance companies have attorneys, and now you do too.
I love my calendar guy. My Ross calendar guy. He gets great prices every day of the year.
For Father's Day, designer dress shirts at department stores, $30. At Ross, $15. A designer knit shirt at fine stores, $25. At Ross, only $10.
I love my calendar guy. My Ross calendar guy. He gets great prices every day of the year.
On the occasion of the publication of the book titled The Way I See It, an autobiography by Patti Davis, Patti's parents released the following statement. We have always loved all of our children, including our daughter, Patti. We hope the day will come when she rejoins our family. We see no purpose for further comment.
Patti, you're 39 years old. Can you support yourself without drawing on your parents' name?
You know, part of who I am, a big part of who I am, is part of this family. It would be ridiculous to say that I'm not. And I'm a writer, and I do the same things that other writers do. I have used bits and pieces of my life in fiction. And I've told this story because it's an important story to tell. If any of us come to the point of forgiving our parents, this is not information that we should sit on. We should share it in whatever way is appropriate to our lives, whether it's standing up in your church and talking about it, or standing up in a seminar or telling your friends. What's appropriate to me is to write about it. I'm a writer and I am a public person, and I actually am very grateful that I have a big forum in which to express this.
Hi, Patti. I'd like to know, do you think this cycle will be broken?
I think that that's what this book is about, is breaking the cycle, because there are two stages to that. One is telling the truth, but the other is forgiveness.
Patti, this is the final catharsis, I think. Are you now ready to move on with your life and forget about the past?
Well, I don't think you forget about the past. I will always have the history that I've had. But, you know, for years I watched birthdays go by feeling like I wasn't growing up, because I wasn't. I was a child, and I was stuck in a tantrum of sorts that I would play out in various ways. And I feel like I've finally grown up, because to the degree that I got off it about my parents, to the degree that I was not going out into the world every day going, hi, I'm Patti, I had a wounded childhood. I was able to grow up.
Patti,
Have you checked your birth certificate really and found out that you are really a Reagan? And I have one more question I'd like to ask you.
What is your point? Did you think...
I have one more.
Well, wait a minute. You dropped this bomb and now you have another question?
Yeah, I have
What would motivate you to ask that question?
Because she's so different. And she don't act like a Reagan, I don't assume.
She doesn't.
She doesn't.
Yeah.
We
got lots of people who want to get in now. Let's go.
You mentioned about forgiveness, but you seem to continue about doing your little side-off books and all that. You don't have no ways of forgiving your mother or your family. So what are you going to do about it?
Well, what I have done about it is come to that place within myself and then write about it. And part of that is, you know, if I had written this book and said, I forgive them, I have no judgment on what happened, this is just, and I release them from blame, but yet I didn't tell you what happened, what would that suggest to you? That I still had a lot of judgment on it. If I'm able to talk about what happened and say, it's just what went down, you know, everybody did the best they could, and I'm going to tell you about it because I have no problem telling you about it. That's doing a lot.
I think Patti is jealous of her mother because her mother is good-looking, dresses beautifully, and knows how to dress.
My mother is... No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. My mother is good-looking. My mother's a beautiful woman, and she dresses the way she likes to dress, and for her that's fun and that's very beautiful. I obviously don't dress the same way.
It's hard being a mother, and Mother's Day's coming up soon. Do you have any plans to try to have a relationship with your mother again? Are you going to send her a Mother's Day card?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have no idea what the future is for this family. I think that we're given relationships in our lives, particularly the ones we're born into, to learn lessons. The lesson I had to learn for myself was to forgive my parents. How that will change our relationship externally, I don't know. Because I think that where we get into trouble is to have an agenda for a relationship, you know, to think that you know how your family is supposed to look. We're supposed to get together on Thanksgiving and Christmas and talk every Sunday and communicate. I want my family to be like the Cosby family, you know, or something like that, which may be not the lesson that family is supposed to learn. And maybe our lesson is to just release each other and realize that we don't do it well in each other's presence.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Feminine care products are important to all women. That's why research is constantly being conducted to improve our options. National Clinical Research Centers is conducting a study to compare a commercially available tampon brand to a new tampon. Qualified participants will receive an evaluation by a physician and tampons at no cost, as well as compensation for their time. If you are interested in improving personal care products for women, please call NCRC at 1-800-666-7777.
Hi, everyone. Come on, guys. You can do this, too. Hey, this is a break. You don't have to work. You have to work out, though. And then just let your arms move naturally, right by your sides. There we go. You exercise, you'll work better. And two, if you eat properly and drink your milk. Now, stop, hands on your waist, step side to side, to the right, to the left. And I love these aerobic hats you're wearing.
Milk. It does a body good.
Drink your milk. Thank you. Thank you.
Why can't they make a stronger flea collar?
Someone has. Scratch X. Look, compared to Hearts and Sergeants, Scratch X has the power to kill twice as many fleas. Compare. All these collars kill fleas, but Scratch X has the power to kill twice as many fleas, since it's government approved to work twice as long.
Yet Scratch X is safe for 3-month-old pets.
Remember, compared to Hearts and Sergeants' 5-month collars, the Scratch X 11-month collar has the power to kill twice as many fleas.
Come on and nutricize your body. Come on and nutricize your mind. What you gotta do is make a phone call. 1-800-321-THIN. Nutricize your life.
Now get 3 weeks
weeks of program services for $19 plus the cost of Nutrisystem meals. Call 1-800-321-THIN and get started.
January, you see, you're not sure, you tell your readers, but you think it was Ed Meese lean over, and do you hear him?
Yes, I heard him say that the hostages had just taken off.
This is before the swearing in?
Yes.
This is on the dais out in the street, or?
Behind,
yeah, the big
thing,
platform, at the Capitol.
The platform.
And that leads you to believe, and then, so you figured your father would get up in the inaugural address and say, ta-da, they're free, and he didn't.
No.
He waits until after the inaugural address, and then he's in a, was it a...
The luncheon, hours later.
At a luncheon. He says, I've just received word. And you're saying it isn't true that he just received word.
Right.
And this leads you to conclude in the book...
Leads me to conclude that something went on before that, because also this information was not delivered with any tone of surprise, which struck me at the time.
They're free.
Right. I mean, if nothing had happened beforehand, one would think that the tone would have been, this is incredible, you're not going to believe what happened. That wasn't it, though.
So you've lent credence in your book to the theorists who suspect that Casey et al. Worked during the campaign to hold up the hostages until the inauguration.
Yes.
Here is just a brief look at the sequence of events. Here's your father being sworn in 1980, and then you say, a couple hours later at the luncheon, making this revelation. Watch this.
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. So help you God. So help me God. Now, congratulate you, sir. Some 30 minutes ago, the planes bearing our prisoners left Iranian airspace and are now free of Iran.
That was easily a couple hours later. That was a luncheon.
And he was notified before the inauguration, before the swearing in.
That's what I heard. I mean, that's what I saw.
Has anyone in the Republican Party tried to stifle you from any of this writing that you've been doing?
No.
When you were growing up, did you find your father not to be honest when it suited his purpose not to be honest?
Well, that sounds a little calculating. My father's, as we were talking about, my father's denial is from his own childhood, and it's really a fear of the truth. It's a fear of reality. It's not the way you described it. You know, it's the description that I'm taking issue.
Does it astound you that such a dysfunctional person as he seemed to be in many ways should be elected president not only once but twice?
You know, we wanted what my father offered in the 80s. None of us can absolve ourselves from what went down in the 80s. We participated in it as a country. We didn't want Carter in there telling us that things were bad. It was like, out of there. We couldn't get him out of there fast enough. We wanted to think it's another morning in America and everything's fine. So we were all in that one together, you know.
And we'll be back in a moment.
Well, but on a certain level.
Presenting the 8-calorie cookie, the 8-calorie ice cream scoop, or an entire dessert that's 8 calories. Sugar-free Jell-O gelatin with 100% NutraSweet. There's always room for sugar-free Jell-O.
Pour on the cheddar and make it taste better.
Potato?
Dull.
With cheddar?
Delicious.
Anybody want chips?
No.
Well, how about some cheddar cheese nachos?
With your vegetables?
Oh, no.
With cheese?
Oh, great.
The great taste of cheddar makes everything taste better.
It tastes fresh and light. It's farm-rich light, with 40% less fat and calories, and no cholesterol. Just right on cereal and fruit. Farm-rich light non-dairy breakfast creamer.
Now there's something better than an answering machine.
There are 5 new messages in your mailbox.
Something that does what an answering machine does, but does it through your phone.
It's me. Look, meet me in an hour back at the office. We have
Something that won't miss a message because a tape broke or you forgot to turn it on. Even if you're on the phone. It's Answer Call, and it's the answering machine that takes messages without a machine.
Call now to get Answer Call. Because with Answer Call, there are no tapes, no plugs, nothing to remember to turn on, no machine. Just use your phone. And Answer Call works just like an answering machine, and it works from any phone in your home, even if you're already on the phone. You can even call in for messages when you're away from home. If you have messages you can't afford to miss,
Call 1-800-272-2997 now to order Bell Atlantic Answer Call from C&P Telephone.
Save $5 with a Pepsi can at Wild World.
I know my father will never accept the sense of political and social commitment that drives me, that compels me to speak out. My politics are completely opposite from his, but I inherited his sense of commitment. My mother and I have shared the same realities of pill-taking and denial, and enmity. I fought her with tactics she taught me. In my determination to be different from her, I have actually moved a little closer to her. Not in personality traits, but in understanding. It might have been the effect of stepping back, getting a broader view, but compassion has finally become part of my language rather than a word that sounded foreign. You know, the allegory here is a child reaching out, you know. Mommy, mommy, mommy,
Well,
it's
I
me.
understand.
I don't mean this to be funny.
No, it's not
I don't mean
funny.
this to be cute at all.
No, but, I mean, that's actually an important point. You know, I didn't write this book to get anything, to get a reaction of any kind. I think that's the wrong, I think that to get stuff is the wrong reason to do anything. I did it because I felt it was the right thing to do.
Is this book is a healing process for you and maybe for your family?
That would be nice. It certainly was a healing process for me. Not necessarily the book. The book was sort of the end of a healing process. That I don't believe in writing a book for therapy, is what I'm trying to say. You do the work and then you write about it. And so this was to say to whoever reads it, this is how I healed myself, and this is the insight I can give you on it.
Yeah. Do you have any relationship with your sister Maureen?
No, I don't.
Yes.
I don't.
With your mother always saying just say no to drugs and you selling them, how did she react to that?
She didn't know. She didn't know.
How did you kick your drug habit?
I kicked it cold turkey, which was not easy to do, because I'd been addicted for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I just did it.
Yeah.
I would like to tell you that
That what?
that you're the splitting image of your mother, and that I hope that both of you can come together and make the rest of your lives happy.
Healing, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I want to know, how did you come to all these realizations? Have you been seeing a therapist? Why aren't you pissed off anymore?
It's funny. She just asked the same question in the break. I'm a big believer in therapy, and I've been in therapy, in and out of therapy for a long time. The answer I just gave to this woman was that at the root of things, I decided that I had to change. I decided that I couldn't be angry anymore. You know, my life had gotten so miserable, it had gotten so dark, and I hated my life, I hated myself, nothing was working in my life. And when I got divorced a few years ago, I started going back to the same patterns that I had been in an earlier point in my life, mostly romantically. I would pick like the worst kind of men who were destined to hurt me. And I could see myself doing it. It was like I was shoving really nice men out of the way going, excuse me, I need to get to that man over there because I know he can really ruin my life and I want him. You know?
And we'll be back in a moment.
There's a new winner in mustards. In a nationwide taste test, new Hellmann's Dijonnaise Creamy Mustard Blend beat the leading mustard by 2 to 1.
You know, when I opened up that lunchbox and I saw that my sweetheart had made that ham sandwich with delicious new Hellmann's Dijonnaise, well, I knew I was in love.
Oh, nothing beats new Hellmann's Dijonnaise.
At 84 Lumber, we still believe in the American dream. So we've developed a way to make building your own home an affordable reality. 84 affordable homes across America, the most complete home building package on the market. Priced from $39.9 to $69.9. Now is the time to build. Our team of home specialists will work with you from start to finish. Begin today by visiting an 84 Lumber near you or call 1-800-359-8484.
You could save a quarter here or 50 cents there, but that's just a drop in the bucket compared to what you can save with the People's Drug Price Drop. That's because we've just slashed prices on 3,000 items at People's Drug. 3,000 of the products you use most, like shampoo, pain relievers, decongestants, and vitamins. Lowering prices on 3,000 items is our way of lowering the cost of living. The People's Drug Price Drop. Now, how's that for change? People's Drug.
EPT.
That's you.
The most trusted name in home pregnancy test is fast and easy to read. A simple stick test that tells in just minutes whether you're going to have a baby or not.
But a baby?
EPT, the fast, easy way to get the big news.
Cool.
All God's creatures get constipated. It's only natural. And most of them solve it naturally, without chemicals. Now humans can too, with per diem, a 100% natural laxative that works just as fast as all the chemical ones. It's as natural as, well, being constipated.
For a transcript of today's program, send $3 check or money order to Donahue Transcripts, 1535 Grant Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203, or call 303-831-9000.
The way I see it is Patti Davis's autobiography. You're going to send your mother a Mother's Day card. Is it possible for you to give her a call and ring her doorbell?
You know, I don't feel that it is at this point, and I think, in all honesty, there's still some fear on my part.
Service is provided and promotional fees paid by the following. Enjoy the comfort, beauty, and value of quality Berkline furniture in your home. It's a Berkline, so you can just sit back and relax.
Shower yourself with new Refreshing Shield. Its unique skin-vigorating formula will turn you around. New Refreshing Shield.
For the perfect weekend and the perfect frequent stay program, check into the new Drake, the only Swiss hotel on Park Avenue.